Good day, class. It's Professor Dr. Brant Ellsworth with you again, and today I am talking to you about the primary source annotation assignment with hypothesis. At this point, if you've found this video, it means you've found within the Assignment Resources tab the link for the primary source annotation assignment, and have found some helpful tips provided by the company Hypothesis for our use. My purpose is to talk a little bit about them and to walk you through the process of registering for a free account and getting the addition to your Chrome interface and to begin using this. Let me explain a little bit of what Hypothesis is. Right now on the internet, if you were to interact with it, you will interact with websites and pages. You can click and scroll. But what Hypothesis does is places an invisible layer. If you are the same age as I am, or maybe older than I am, you may remember back in school when your teachers used an overhead projector. And they would have these plastic films which they would write on. I remember my algebra teacher using this. Set up the overhead projection screen and would write on this plastic film with some erase markers, wet erase markers, and wet erase, dry erase, one of the two, and would do math problems, spray it down, clean it off, and start all over again. And Hypothesis essentially does the exact same thing, though, with the internet. By registering with Hypothesis and adding them into your Google Chrome, it enables there to be an invisible layer over the internet web page that you're using that you can then highlight and mark and write on, that is then shared with the public, or for our case, with our class members. So Hypothesis is a great way for students and for me to engage in critical thinking, reflection, and annotation. As you're reading, you can highlight the materials that you have found beneficial or helpful. Your classmates can do the same. As you're reading, you can pose questions that you have, make observations, right? Bringing in other classes that you have taken, other information, videos that you have watched. And this way we can all learn together. On this page, I'm going to walk us through this quick start for students. Sign in for a Hypothesis account. So the first thing that you want to do is go ahead and click on this link here to go to the registration page. It will take you to a website that looks like this, web.hypothesis.is. And here in the top right corner, you're going to click on Get Started. And these are the 3 steps. It's quite simple. First, you're going to establish a free account. Clicking here. You're going to go ahead and log in, create a username. I encourage you for our class to use your name, so as we're sharing information, we know who it is. So go ahead and put your name in here as the username. You might need to put a number at the end. Add your email address. I would use your Central Pen email, and create a password and hit sign up. It's as simple as that. Second, using your Chrome browser, I would click on this link for the add-in for Chrome. What this will do is take it will give you the power of Hypothesis directly onto your browser. So I have already installed it. It was simple. I clicked Add On, I clicked Add, and suddenly it was in my on my internet browser. In fact, you can see it up here in the top right corner. This little dot is the Hypothesis, and you can see that there are 27. Hey, my boy! There are 27 annotations already on this page. Now I'm going to show you the one that I have done on our reading assignment. So once that's added, the last thing that you want to do is to add our group page. So let me go ahead and sign in, and I will show you what I've done is I've created our own group page that we all will use within our class. So it is called CPC underscore HIS 120 underscore FA 2017. I have provided a hyperlink, which is available here, and I have shared this on our on the Blackboard page. So what you'll want to do is add this and become a member of our group page. Now, let me go back over here. This information is very helpful if my instructions haven't been. Sorry, my son is getting in all my stuff. Go, young man, run, be free. So I highly encourage you to look through this information if my instructions haven't been clear. The one thing that you want to look at is this is our hypothesis group. So once you've added it, you want to click here and become a member of our group. When you've done so, it will show up in your web browser, and I will show you that here in a second. So I have traveled over to chapter 1 of the American Yop, and this is a page that you should be familiar with now. And I've come up here in the top right corner. I've clicked here. It says that there are 824 annotations on this page. Well, that is more than just from students in our group. So what I would encourage you to do, once you've clicked here, you should see this collection in the top right corner of your browser. A side arrow, a cite, and a little highlights page. Click on the arrow and come here next to the faces. And if you click down on the down arrow, you have the choice between public and our CPC History 120 group. So if you would click on that, this will show you all annotations made by your classmates and me and you. And this will save them, collect them all together in this big flip book that we can use. So I've already gotten started, as you can see. I've highlighted this section of the introduction. I thought this was pretty interesting as I reflected on it, and I wrote a comment here as my annotation. I wrote, in other words, Native Americans were cultured and civilized. However, because this culture differed so widely from European cultures and the expectations of Europeans, they labeled Native Americans as wild and savage. And then I put a hyperlink into a scene from Disney's Pocahontas, in which the characters are singing about, they're savages, savages, barely even human, stuff like that. So this was my annotation. Later on, I provided some other annotations. I highlighted some sections that I thought were pretty interesting. Let's see. I made another annotation further down. Let's see where this one is. It's talking in the conclusion about diseases, and I just made a note about some other things that I had read recently about diseases that potentially could wipe out entire populations. And so somebody could come in here, and I would encourage you to read each other's comments, to make sense of them, to ask questions, to answer them. You can respond to each other's questions or comments. You can share them widely. You can delete your own. And this is a way for us all to interact together. Now, the second part of this, the first part, of course, is doing the annotations. And I encourage you to do the annotations for all of our readings, both within the textbook and within the primary sources. At the end of the term, each of you will be asked to give me the chapter or the page in which you felt you did the strongest in your annotations. And I will grade that page that you have selected. I will also randomly select for all students a secondary page that I will grade. I will not tell you in advance what page that will be, but let's just say hypothetically that it's chapter 5. I will pull chapter 5, compile all the annotations, and use my grading rubric to determine a grade for each of you on that. So I will not grade every page, and so some of you can play the lottery if you like. Risk it. guess where or which assignment I will use to grade, the safe thing to do is just to make it a habit of annotating while you read. Sit down with your computer, with your laptop, with your tablet, go through as you read, underline sections, and add annotations. Now, what am I looking for in annotations? Well, I have here a link that answers that question. Annotation tips for students. We'll take you to a page provided by Hypothesis itself, and it gives some suggestions of what annotations should be. They should be careful. You don't want to annotate everything, but you really want to focus on things that are intriguing or ambiguous. Your annotation should be additive, meaning it should be adding to. It's not a summary of what you've read, but it's something new and unique, an insight that you've had that others may not have had. I encourage you to use links and images. This explains how to do that, much like I did with my Pocahontas. If there's a meme that comes to mind, a video from YouTube that you think does a great job of reflecting or engaging with the topic or the theme that you're looking at, there is a way of inserting hyperlinks to those pages. All right, so this is the primary source annotation with Hypothesis assignment. I encourage you to become familiar with it. And as always, ask questions of me if you don't understand how to use it. If you do not have Google Chrome, maybe you need help downloading it. Please feel free to email me with your questions.